Lager beer has been brewed and enjoyed for centuries. It has been part of religious events, social events, and in some cases, even part of a daily meal. In 1855, lager beer was used as a catalyst by Chicago Mayor Levi Boone to keep immigrants in their place. The result was political unrest, change, and the ultimate demise of a political party and its powerful leader in Chicago. The Lager Beer Riot of 1855 was that very important event that changed Chicago history. In 1845, a potato famine swept across Ireland. Potato crops throughout Ireland were devastated. Potatoes were rotting from an infestation of the Phytophthora fungus. Potatoes were the #1 source of food and income for the Irish. The result of this widespread famine caused about 1 million men, women, and children to die. But for the rest of the farmers and people who relied on the crop, where to go? The most logical answer to that question was America. America was flourishing. It was the time of innovation and modernization for the American population. The Irish believed that if they went to America, they would have a better quality of life and more opportunity because of its great economical growth. Following the 5-year-long potato famine, about 1.8 million Irish boarded boats to Canada. Once they were in Canada, they crossed the border illegally to the United States. Many died along the way. Most of the Irish immigrants were not able to read or write, and most had limited skills. There were already Irish in Chicago in the early 1800s. Following the immigration of the Irish after the potato famine, almost 1/5 of the population in Chicago was Irish. The German immigrants came to America around 1848 to escape impending war in Europe. Unlike the Irish immigrants, many could read and write and were skilled craftsmen. They also had money. Also, modernization and population growth forced many Germans from their family businesses. Many Germans took long, complicated, but cheap routes through Great Britain by way of train and boat to get to the United States. Only about 2/5 of Germans who came to the United States lived in cities. German-born farmers made up 1/3 of the agricultural industry in the U.S. The German people would settle together and live in tight-knit communities just like the Chinese Chinatowns. Alcoholic drinks were popular with the immigrants. In fact, German immigrants were the ones that introduced lager beer to the city. Levi Boone was mayor of Chicago at the time and a member of the Chicago-based Know Nothing Party. The Know Nothings were a corrupt group of people who were anti-Catholic and anti-immigrant. They were called the Know Nothings because when the members were asked about it, they were supposed to say they knew nothing. Mayor Boone knew that German and Irish immigrants brewed, sold, and enjoyed drinking lager beer, and the industry was a source of increasing wealth and labor base for the immigrants. In an effort to increase his and his party's revenues and keep an iron fist on the immigrants, he managed to pass 2 referendums. The passage of these referendums into law would end his political career forever. These political actions resulted in strong public disapproval and protest. On the first Sunday after the law was enforced, hundreds of people were arrested by Boone's newly reconstructed non-immigrant police force. A court hearing was scheduled on April 21, 1855. On that day, a group of immigrants from the north side of Chicago went to the courthouse to protest the new law. The immigrants' first attempt to reverse the law by protesting failed. Later, a group of armed immigrants showed up at the courthouse for a second attempt, this time a little bit more forceful. Crowds gathered at the Clark Street Bridge. Mayor Levi Boone responded by raising the bridge in an effort to buy more time to assemble the police, also to split up the large group of protesters. Then their guns started firing. The riot, when it was all over, took more of a toll on the people involved than the city. There were 60 people arrested and 1 person killed. Many people were injured, including a Hyde Park officer who lost an arm in the riot. This was the first time there was a riot pitting an all-American police force in uniform against an organized group of protesters. The Lager Beer Riot of 1855 was an important event in Chicago history. Through his dislike of the Irish and German immigrants, Levi Boone managed to push them to ultimately end his own political career.